And hello. Welcome to the next episode of the Pigeon Post. This episode is about the solo career of ex-lead singer of the Stranglers, Hugh Cornwell. Hugh Cornwell was the singer of the Stranglers from 1974 and in August the 11th, 1990. He penned hits such as Peaches, No More Heroes, Get a Grip on Yourself, Boys the Sun, Skin Deep, and he left on August the 12th, 1990, after a concert at London's Alexandra Palace, which was the band's first time playing there, and it was near on a sellout. He went on to become a solo artist, which many of his former band members thought he would become an actor. This is a deep dive into his solo career. It's going to be a bit of a lengthy one. We've got about 33 CDs to go through. I've broken them down into timelines so it's easier to digest. So we'll go from the 80s until the early 90s, from the mid 90s to the 00s, from the 00s to 2010s, 2010s to 2000 onwards and upwards. Hugh Cornwell's first solo album was released in 1979, and it was a collaboration between him and Captain Beefheart drummer Robert Williams. Hugh was a big fan of Captain Beefheart and Robert's drumming at the time, and so he rented out a studio in Los Angeles and went to record with him. And the album they came up with was an album called Nosferatu. Williams himself written many of the albums, in which he sang on the title track. There is a cover of Cream's White Room on this album, and my favourites have always been Irate Caterpillar, Rhythmic Itch, and One Wrong Way Round. There are several guest appearances from Devo Brothers, and Ian Dury appears on The Wrong Way Round. It was a very experimental album for Hugh at the time, and it didn't really get into the top 100, and I think it got just about entered the top 100. He's recently embarked on a Nosferatu tour this year. I didn't get to see it this year. I saw it twice last year in London Islington Assembly Halls and Brighton Concourse, where he plays with drummer Windsor McGilvery on the drums and Pat Hughes on the bass. And he's recently completed a second run of it, the tour, which finished in a place called Derby, the Devil's Arse. It's a very good album. It's a very decent album if you haven't heard of it. Most of the fans know this one. His first proper solo album came in 1988. He called it Wolf. This is like a double pack for the CD. I need to get both the albums separately again. Wolf is a massive departure. The Stranglers' 80s output, which I'll cover in my so forth, starts off with Another Kind of Love, which is very 80s pop synth driven and has a video to with it. There are some very questionable songs on this one, as we all know Hughes likes for younger girls, as the Stranglers bring on the new bars. And there's a song called Cherry Rare on here, which is very tongue-in-cheek, pretty much typical Hugh. Never Never, Real Slow, Break of Dawn. One of my favourites, a very dancey track called Clubland. He released a single called Dreaming Again. One of my favourites of his solo material was called Decadence, which was a rejected song for the Stranglers at the time, called In My Time of Innocence. He's been all the tea in China, and he closes with Getting Involved, which he sometimes plays live. His voice is impeccable on this album, and he was going to go and do a support tour with the band A Flock of Seagulls. He flew to America on Concorde, only to be told his contract had been cancelled and there would be no tour. You wouldn't have that happening today for any artist. But it's a very 80s sounding album, this, and I still regularly play it. He sometimes played Getting Involved live as well. Okay, Hugh's first album since leaving the band. Oh yes, sorry. This is the single "Dreaming Again" from the album Wolf. The front cover now. Just the tracks. Cornwell, Dreaming Again. The first album he released when he left the Stranglers was an album called CCW. He teamed up with Roger Cook and Andy West, who are two American musicians, I believe. And there's 10 songs on this album. You can see my copy's signed. There's quite a lot of signed copies on this though. Cornwell himself only wrote 3 songs on the song completely by himself. The rest were collaborations. He recorded Sweet Sister by himself. He did Wasted Tears by himself. And he did Invisible by himself. The rest were all collaborations with West and Cook, like Double the Dose. He didn't play on Psycho at all. Well, he's not credited. More or Less, which was Cook and Mason. Dance Me to the End of the World, which was a West thing. And he collaborates on Heaven and Hell, which the Stranglers a year later, or the same year, had a song called Heaven or Hell, which there was no inkling to it. That's the CD there. It was a very quiet time for Hugh in recent time, so he released an album of demos called Footprints in the Desert later on in that year. It features the single Everybody, and there's a cover of the Velvet Underground, Venus in Furs. There's another version of Wasted Tears on here as well. It's got 14 songs on it. Fresh Air is quite popular, I think. For What It's Worth is one of my favourites. And Keep It Under Your Hat, another one. And there's another one called Touch, and So Sexual, which is pretty much Hugh hunting cheek. Well, that's what the CD looks like. Hugh Cornwell. He managed to release a single from this as well. And this is the single Everybody, the CD single that he released from it. That was in 1992. He released his first solo offering since leaving the band in 1993, I do believe. 1993, yeah. Quite a long time ago now. This was a slow burner for me, but in recent years it's become one of my favourites. It's Hugh Cornwell, Wired. It starts off with a Hot Cat. It's very middle of the road, but his voice is impeccable on it from start to finish. Considering he was in his 40s then, so there shouldn't be any problems with his voice, but it really is top notch on this album. It starts off with Hot Cat on the Tin Roof, which is about the film. It's got Make It With You, My Kind of Loving, Wasted Tears, which is very good. He released the single, which I'm still looking for, the promo single on CD, The Story of He and She, Ain't It Strange, Stop, one of my favourite Hugh Cornwell solo songs, Mr. Insignificant, Turn Your Body Down, Love in Your Eyes, and First Bus to Babylon, which he plays live. Notably, this album features Robert Williams on drums and Andy Gifford, who used to be in the Stranglers. It's a top up between this or Hi-Fi really, but I think this might be just a tad better than Hi-Fi. It's very, very, very close. Very close. Next up, is when he starts to get critically acclaimed as a solo artist. In 1997, he released Guilty, which features like a postcard as a front cover of Hugh as a child. This album has been praised because it's the album that sounds like most like the Stranglers since he left the band. Don't know how true that is. It starts off with the single One Burning Desire, and there's another snack called Snapper, which he sometimes plays live. Nerves of Steel, which he always plays live. Another one of my favourite songs from Hugh is Black Hairs, Black Eyes, Black Suit. Hot Heads, Endless Days, 5 Miles High, Long Dead Train, which is the one that sounds like Get a Grip on Yourself. The one that I can never pronounce, Torture Garden, House of Sorrow. If most people would ask them what's their favourite Hugh Cornwell solo album since leaving the band, I imagine most Stranglers fans will opt for this one, Guilty. It is very good, but I still do prefer the experimentation of the Wired album. Here is the promo single for One Burning Desire from Hugh Cornwell. Okay, so we are now heading into this album was also released in America with a different front cover under the title Black Hairs, Black Eyes, Black Suit. This is a very decent cover of Hugh there. Hugh's released a number of live albums, and this is one worth checking out, Hugh Cornwell Mayday. It's all from his solo back catalogue. And it starts off with a fantastic version of Irate Caterpillar. Also, I like Black Hairs, Black Eyes, Black Suit, the version of White Room. It's got about the Big Sleep, which is about the actor he likes called Robert Mitchum, who used to sleep during the set because he was pretty bored with acting. And he plays a couple of Nosferatu tracks on here, Wired and Mothra. So yeah, that's one of a live album well worth getting. Hugh Cornwell, Mayday. We're approaching the millennium now, and Hugh's still going as a solo artist. And he releases an album called Hi-Fi. This album would be my top album or my second album. It's a top up between Wired and this as my two favourites. It starts off with Leave Me Alone, again, One Day at a Time. Some of my favourites from this album are All the Colours in the Rainbow, Miss Teasing Weezy, Lay Back on Me Pal, which is a Hugh Cornwell classic, Gingerbread Girl, and The Prison's Going Down. I think this album's better than Guilty, and on its day for me, it's better than Wired. But, I don't know. He recently re-recorded it as an LP, which I've got in my collection, but I think the re-recorded LP he did takes away a lot of the psychedelic edge this album has, and it's made it more as a regular album, which is a bit of a disappointment really. As we're heading on into the 2000s now, he releases an acoustic album, and I do believe that famous producer who produced Love Fully, I can't quite remember his name. I should know it, shouldn't I? Produced by he'll come back to me. But he released two Beyond the Elysian Fields in 2004. This is a phenomenal album, and again features a tribute to one of his favourite musicians, Bob Dylan, called 24/7. It's got the story of Harry Power on it. But one of my favourite Hugh Cornwell solo songs, again, which will go in my top 10, is about Henry Moore. And it's got a song about Cadiz on it, an island which he likes to go to in Spain. And he released a single called Under Her Spell. It's very good. This is the first real tour I saw him on. I saw him in a book signing in London's Borders Bookshop in 2002, where he played a 20-minute set. But this album was the first full band tour I saw him on, and it was very good. This is like the first of his albums where he starts to streamline things and makes it more simple, less experimental, and more to the point. Just with this one's acoustic and the next one's electric, and the producer's name still hasn't come to me, which is rather annoying. Producers are produced, but this one is kind of like famous, so you should know this one. Who was that one that produced Love Folly and the Feline? Him. Anyway. After the album was released, he recorded a thing called Beyond Acoustic Fields, and he found one of David Bowie's old guitars, which he was quite excited about in the studio that they were working in America, and he recorded it. So the album on acoustic guitars now. It's a quite decent listen. We're moving into the CD singles on this as well. He released, this was at the time when they were still releasing CD singles, which was, well, you wouldn't get any more. You have one in a green colour, you have one in a red colour, and you have one in a grey colour. And you can still buy them on his merchandise stall today. Okay, we are moving into, this was the album he released for free on the internet, but you could buy a CD copy of it, which I did. It was called Hooverdan in 2006, and it started off with the controversial single "Please Don't Put Me on a Slow Boat to Trowbridge," and I have the promotional CD single of "Please Don't Put Me on a Slow Boat to Trowbridge" here. As you can see, that one. I've always liked Going to the City, Delightful Nightmare, which he always plays now, and I always like The Pleasure of Your Company, and the single Within or Without You, and the track dedicated to Robert Mitchum, The Big Sleep. And he had new members on here. He had bass player called Kaz Campbell, and a drummer called Bell, Annie, not Annie Bell. Annie Bell, I think it's Annie Bell. I'll find out. Pretty sure it's Annie Bell. Chris Bell on the drum. I should know him. And that was the producer. I believe it was Liam Lawson. He produced. I don't like it, but he produced the White Stripes, the Elephant album, and that was the Hooverdan front cover, just a picture of the Hooverdan. These people don't play in his band anymore. But it's a really good album. I'm not sure if you can get this CD anymore. It's also got DVD of Blueprint, and that was you. But yeah, if I had to say my favourite song of the album, it would be "The Pleasure of Your Company," which was about his former accountant. Okay, moving on. He decided to release a single live album, which led on to a triple live album, which was recorded at the O2 Islington Academy, which I went to the night there. The single album that you got in the shops was an album called Dirty Dozen. But it came in a clamshell thing, like he called it People's Places Pieces. And he signed it for me, and I think it's his best live album to date. This is what the CDs look like. People, places, and pieces. He's never really done a live album like this. Again, really, it's probably too much to undertake. I remember in the second set, he stopped it and walked off stage for a while. But he's included things like Snapper, Miss T. Weezy, Henry Moore, Black Eyes, Black Suit, and then on the end of People's things, he finished it off with Irate Caterpillar and the long version of I Feel Like a Wog by the Stranglers. There was deep cuts such as Shaking Like a Leaf and Electric. He plays Sweden, Peasant in a Big City, and Down in a Sewer. He also did a fantastic version of Spain, which I love. And in the third one, he did a more of like a acoustic thing. He started off with Tank. Did a version of Something Better Change, which was interesting. Rock Bordello from the Stranglers, my favourite Stranglers song. And that was when he started playing Out of My Mind from the 10 album. He did I Don't Mind, he did Long Dead Train, and a new song called Live It and Breathe It, which is included on a Greatest Hits album. That's People, Places, Pieces. So I think it's quite rare now, and it would cost you high double digits to get a copy of it now. But as we're moving into the 09s, a series of live albums came out. New Songs for King Kong, which is, he did Rassus Norvegicus in full, and then he played Hoover Dam in full. And as a whole, and it was very interesting hearing the J&J songs like Ugly being sung by him, and he did London Lady, and Kaz Campbell did Princess of the Streets. But hearing Ugly was very interesting because it wasn't JJ. And the Hoover Dam album was more electric live offering, really. It was only for one tour, really, and I went to 5 of the days. I went to the one in Bath, went to Glasgow, went to Manchester, went to London, and I think I went to Bristol. And he released a couple of live albums. This is an acoustic DVD called Anthology, and this was live in Aberdeen. And like with the New Songs for King Kong, he did Totem and Taboo and the No More Heroes tour, called him Live at the Vera. Now this was after the Totem and Taboo album was recorded, obviously. So I should have shown that second little one. Right, that's the live albums out of the way. And in 2000, 2000, 2012, that was it. He went to Pledge Music. Pledge Music was a thing where fans could pledge for the album to be made. So you pledge money, and for the musician to record studio time to record the album. You can pledge for another thing. I just pledged for the album, really. To be in the video and things like that was a bit out of my price range, really. But he rewarded you. I don't believe my name's on here. There's all a list of pledges for this album are written on this CD. And my name is on there somewhere. And I'm not spending the whole day looking for it. The writing is pretty tiny. But I've always liked Love Me Slender on this album. I've always liked The Face, which is probably one of my favourite ones for him. And I liked the last song, Guns in the Dead of Night, and I liked the single Guns and Gays. You can pay for a meet and greet, which I went to one meet and greet. I went to a meet and greet at the Islington Noble Academy, and you got the Toto Mantapoo demo, which he signed. He signed quite a lot of things. Okay, coming up to the end. Well, not coming up to the end, but here's but after this one, in 2016, he was approached by John Cooper Clarke. If you know John Cooper Clarke, he's like a poet from Manchester, to record an album of songs from the 60s, and it was just called Dr. John Cooper Clarke and Hugh Cornwell, and it was called This Time It's Personal. This is the only tour that I missed them on, because I went to see the Damned in Wolverhampton when it was at the Kentish Town. But it's a couple of all 60s songs, including one which they released a video for, which was MacArthur Park, and another one which they released a video for, which was Johnny Remember Me. It's very 60s. You love the 60s, and that's why it's all the 60s. That's the track listing there. And that went to pay for Hugh's next album, Monster, which came out in 2018. He released Monster in CD and vinyl, and I've got the record of this, which is signed. Believe it or not, I didn't get the CD signed. It's one of the, but this is the Monster album. Again, it's a very good electronic album. It's like written by 10 people that he admires, and one of them includes Sergeant Bilko. There's a song dedicated to Sergeant Bilko. Mr. Leather is dedicated to Lou Reed. Pure Evil is dedicated to Evel Knievel. Long Grand Dame, which is dedicated to his mother. And he said they all have like a who are the heroes and who are the villains. The controversially, as Hugh was always put it, he had his mother as the villain because she was the one that tried to get the family in order all the time. There was a song about Robert McGarvey, which he had as a hero, and the last song, which was about Mussolini, called Deuce Coochie Man, which he also had down as a hero, because he said he managed to get the trains to run on time in Italy. There's a restoration CD with an acoustic version of Stranglers songs, and it features Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson on a few things on the flute on Ships That Pass in the Night. But I really do love Let Me Down Easy, and especially Souls in Here, and Big in America. This is a brilliant album, and his voice is absolutely brilliant. Monster is about Jason and the Argonauts film about Ray Harryhausen. Ray Harryhausen was the guy that when you see the Jason and the Argonauts film with the skeletons that when they came alive, he was the one who made it. Which brings us up to the greatest hits, the fall and rise of Hugh Cornwell. Again, which is signed. You get to he signs everything on the merchandise table. He's got to know me over the years, and he just grabs it out of your hand and he goes, "I'll sign it for you." So that's how I got to have so many of his autographs over the years. But that's the back of the CD there. And that's what the inner as a track listing. Very good, really. Just pick and choose your favourite. And now we are up to his latest solo album. Oh yeah, this is the Fall and Rise. This is the promo CD, the Fall and Rise of Hugh Cornwell. And when I met him at the Rise and Concord, I said I got the promo CD. And in typical Hugh Cornwell fashion, he said, "Oh, the promo CD. Oh, yeah." And he wasn't that interested in it, really. He always says, yeah, all the time, which is awesome. Now we are up to the last latest Hugh Cornwell album, which was released in 2021. And I have one of the vinyls in my collection, which he signed, but the CD isn't signed, actually. And it's Moments of Madness. It starts off with Coming Out of the Wilderness. My favourite songs on here have always been Red Rose, Looking for You, Beware of the Doll, Lasagna, and Heartbreak at 7. The tour was pretty good. Again, I saw a number of the dates on the tour. And Moments of Madness, and the title track's Moments of Madness, and the single When I Was a Young Man, which is very Moments of Madness, the title track, is a very sort of like rhythmic sort of song, and When I Was a Young Man is very like No More Heroes type of song. Striking Out, I think it reminds me of. But that's just the CD of Moments of Madness. There. Yeah, it's another very good album from Hugh Cornwell. He said he's recording his next album, which is most likely going to be his last studio album, called Succubus, for release in the near future. And the very last thing he released was a live album with 2 CDs, songs from Moments of Madness, Moments of Madness and Monster, and a mixture of Stranglers songs and Hoover Down, called All the Fun at the Fair. That's it there. That's his latest live album. He did a tour called All the Fun at the Fair. And it's got a total of about 26 songs on it. I always like his version of Skin Deep. I think it's brilliant. I like his version of Strange Little Girl. I like his acoustic, his new versions of When I Was a Young Man, and Lasagna, which has someone on stage as a lasagna person. But that is my discography of Hugh Cornwell solo albums today. If I was to have my favourite solo Hugh Cornwell albums, it would be, I think Wired would definitely be my favourite. And my second top favourite would be Hi-Fi, but on its day, Hi-Fi could beat Wired. Third favourite would be Beyond Elysian Fields, and that would be my top 3 really. And my fourth would be Guilty. My favourite Hugh solo songs would be Mr. Insignificant, that would be my top 1. Decadence, that would be my second favourite one. All the Colours of the Rainbow that'll be my favourite one. Cherry Rare, that'll be my fourth. And The Prison's Going Down, that'll be my top 5 Hugh Cornwell songs. So that was my Hugh Cornwell solo collection CD. And the next video will be tomorrow, and I'll think about what I'll do for that one. As I've noticed, I've picked up a few new subscribers, so as always, like and subscribe. And this video was for Barry Spooner, who is a subscriber and a Stranglers sort of legend. Okay, see you on the next one.